What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel, and today we're actually going to change things up ever so slightly, and we're actually going to be doing a custom build for one of our customers. And in doing so, we're going to talk a little bit more about what Bey Tech actually is and what we really do. Now, we didn't start this business out as aspiring YouTubers. We just found it as a way to get the word out about our business, and then we really started having fun with it, so we just kept going. But what we really do is custom PCs. Now, we are what's known as a system integrator. And the difference between a system integrator and something like an OEM is that we don't use any proprietary components at all. Everything that we use is open standard components that you could go buy at a Micro Center or an Amazon or Newegg or anything like that. So what that means for you is, should you decide you want to upgrade or change a part in only a couple years from now, well, now you don't need to buy a whole new PC just to do that. You can simply replace that one part. Now you might be wondering, well, what sets us apart from other system integrators? And it's a couple things. It's mainly the amount of control that you have over your PC and our pricing structure. Now, if you've been to our website, you probably noticed that we don't have a part builder, and there's a good reason for that. The reason we've chosen not to use a part builder is because it has potential to lock our customers into only a certain amount of components. If you look at a lot of part builders out there, you find that their selection is really limited when there's a lot of other brands and components out there that they're not giving you the choice to select. And we don't want you to be locked in. We want this to be 100% your PC. As far as our pricing, everything is built into one flat fee, and we do not put any markup on the parts whatsoever. And in fact, we even sell the parts to you at the current lowest sale price out there. Often we'll look to pick up some stock when we notice certain sales going on so that we can be absolutely sure we're keeping our prices for you as low as possible. Now, as far as the services that we offer, we have a couple different options. Number one would be, obviously, if you've been on our website, then you've already seen that we have pre-built, already configured, ready to go computers. And if you don't like anything you see in our shop currently, we do custom. And this is where everything I was talking about earlier feeds into. And the cheapest option would be if you already have all your parts picked out and you've already ordered them or about to order them and you just need someone to build it. Well, you can ship your parts to us or have them shipped to us, and we'll build it for a flat $100 fee, and we'll even ship it back to you with a 2-year warranty. That being said though, if you ask us to build a PC with a bunch of parts from AliExpress, I'm not going to put a warranty on an AliExpress PC. Let's be real here. Now, a second option would really be for anyone, whether you know exactly what you want or you need a little help. So for a $150 flat fee, we not only provide all the parts and build the PC, but we'll also provide you with as much assistance as you need throughout the part selection process. Whether you just need a little help speccing it out or you have no idea and want us to pick everything for you, no problem. That's what we got into this business for. We love building and speccing out PCs. And that's going to be one of the types of builds I'm doing today. So this customer told us she's looking to surprise her son with a new PC for his birthday/Christmas because his birthday just happens to fall on December 24th. Now, because this customer herself isn't into PC gaming like her son, she didn't really know what she needed to get and asked us to spec it out and send her a quote. So we did. And she couldn't really tell us what types of games that her son plays, but she did guarantee us that it's whatever the heck the average 13-year-old boy's playing these days. But she was able to tell us that she did also get him a new monitor and that the resolution was 1440p. And lastly, she told me that looking at his current PC that he doesn't really care so much for aesthetics and that I should really focus on performance when it comes to her $1,000 budget. So with our $150 fee and sales tax, that meant my budget was really more about $800. Now, some people might tell you with a budget like that getting an amazing 1440p pre-built is probably off the table, but not for us. And I think I nailed it, and she was quite thrilled when I told her the type of performance her son should expect. So with all that being said, let's get to it. So I decided to stick with AM4, and the reason why I decided to stick with AM4 will be very clear to you once you see what CPU we're putting in here and what price the customer is getting it for. Now, as most of you probably know, there's really not much change in performance you're going to get by simply swapping out a motherboard with the same components. So I needed the motherboard to be cheap so we could put a lot more towards our GPU. And now technically I could have gone even cheaper and suggested an A chipset, but she also told me that his interest in computers is a little more than gaming, so I figured he might want an actual BIOS. So I went with the ASRock B550M Pro 4. For the RAM, we went with 32 gigabytes, 3600 megahertz Vulcan-Z. And the reason why is obvious, because if all you care about is performance and you want to be able to save as much money as you possibly can for your GPU, you go Vulcan-Z. she's quite the clicker. So for the SSD, this is one of the things we had in stock. A while back, we picked up a bunch of MSI Spatium Gen 4 1TB NVMe drives for $50 each. So that means our customer will only be paying $50 for a quality 1TB Gen 4 NVMe drive. And now for the reason that I chose AM4, the 5700X3D. Now one of the things that we'll do, like I said earlier, is watch out for sale prices. And one day, I happened to catch that on Amazon, the 5700X3D was 73% off and going for $120. Now I wouldn't have believed that if it wasn't for the fact that the store it was coming from was AMD themselves. So, here it is. And now, our customer gets the benefit from it. Unfortunately, that sale wasn't up just 2 weeks prior when I went to Micro Center and paid $180 for the one I have in here. Let's go ahead and get the bracket for the cooler on, which brings us to the cooler, which, when you want performance, and again, you want to save as much of your budget as you can for your GPU, you go with Thermalright. And so this 3300 RPM pump in this frozen infinity here is going to keep this 5700X3D nice and cool. And I know that for certain because it's the same pump that's in my Thermalright AIO in this that's also cooling a 5700X3D. Now the case that I chose is the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L, which is not the fanciest case in the world, but it does have some features that we absolutely need to make sure we had. And those things would be a low price that fit into our budget, so once again we could save more for the GPU. Number two is because it's an actual micro ATX case. You cannot fit a full-size ATX board in here. One thing I hate seeing is when companies cheap out by putting a micro ATX board inside a full ATX case, because all that wasted space just looks ugly. But speaking of space, that brings us to point number three. Being a small little micro ATX case, we needed to make sure we have plenty of room for our monster GPU, which you'll see what it is later on. And this case gives us plenty of room to do that. So let's go ahead and get this board mounted in the case. So again, not the fanciest case, but it's nice and sturdy. It's got plenty of ventilation. It's got pretty decent I/O, and I kind of like this little power button here. And obviously, again, we'll have no problems fitting our GPU in here. But one of the other pretty cool features I like about this case, that it has rubber feet on the back. So if you wanted to, you could leave it on your desk like that and look down into the PC, which I think is kind of a little cool feature. Alright, so a lot of times I would go ahead and put like the cooler and the fans on and everything now, but this time, because of I know this case is kind of a pain in the butt to get the EPS cable in if you don't put it in before you install all your fans and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and put the power supply in now, which is a MAG A650 bronze. Now unfortunately, this power supply is non-modular, which I really don't like, because it's in a case that doesn't have a PSU shroud, so it's going to show. But almost any pre-built you go out there and buy is going to have that. You're going to pay extra for that modularity, so when it comes to performance over aesthetics, you go with non-modular. So again, saving as much money as we possibly could for the GPU and still picking something that's quality and a part that I actually trust, we landed on the MSI MAG 650. Alright, so we got our AIO mounted into the top of the case here, so now we can go ahead and put our block on, which brings us to what kind of paste do we use? Well, that's another thing that we do not skimp on here. So we specifically use either Noctua NTH2 or my personal favorite, the Cryonaut. We want these PCs to last as long as possible, but just as much as you do. Because at Bey Tech, we like repeat customers, but you know, 8 to 10 years down the road. Now, a little tip if you ever go to work with a Thermalright AIO, they always come with these little clips on the tubes. Take them off when you're mounting the block. It makes it so much easier to actually get the block into the position you want it. And this is a really cool looking AIO block. I'm pretty excited to see what it's going to look like once we turn it on. So now if you've been skimming through this whole build just waiting for the GPU reveal, then you can stop right here because this is it. Now in my opinion, when it comes to playing the latest games in 1440p, if your budget is $1,000 or less, or like in our case here, $800, if you're not spending at least close to half your budget on your GPU alone, then you're probably not going to have all that great of a 1440p experience. Unless you're buying used, or if these new Intel B580 cards turn out to be really great for 1440p. And so when it comes to spending close to half the budget on your GPU, that's exactly what I did here. With this big old chonker, the Gigabyte Gaming 7700 XT. And with this card paired with a 5700X 3D, even in 1440p, he should have no problem pwning all his friends. Golly, the size of this thing. This thing is an absolute mammoth. So perhaps now this boxy case choice makes a little more sense. Oh my god, this thing is a beast! It's almost up to my elbow. That's insane. Alright, let's carefully wiggle her in there. Lower you into position. Okie dokie. She's in. Alright guys, so she's all ready for first boot, and she's not cable managed yet. I just want to test it and make sure it's good to go before we put all the zip ties and everything on. So once I know it's good to go, then I'll shut it down in cable management, and then I'll go ahead and configure it and hit it with a stability test before we pack it up and ship it on out. Now as far as how the PC is going to arrive to you, what we do is called the out-of-box experience. What this means is that we install Windows and configure the BIOS, we test the PC, and once we've tested it and we know it's good to go, we reset Windows, and during that initial Windows installation, we command line to shut down the PC so that once it gets to you, it just resumes that Windows setup. So this ensures that you get Windows set up the way you like it without any bloatware or crap software that you didn't want. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just boot test it real quick, and if it's all good, then we'll shut it down, get it cable management, and maybe hit it with a nice little reveal, and that'll be it. And there she is, all cleaned up and ready to go, and passed our stability test with flying colors. And this puppy is running real cool with idles down in the 20s. So, to our customer's son, Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday, and I hope you like it. I'll tell you what, if I got this when I was 13, yeah, I'd be quite thrilled. Now all I gotta do is reset Windows, back it up, and ship it on out. So if you're interested in a new PC, and whether you know exactly what you're looking for or you have no idea what you're looking for, make sure you go to beeasybuilds.com and send us a message if you want to go the custom route, or take a look at our pre-built shop. But until then, be easy, and we'll see you guys next time.